It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, light Forex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
November 20th 2019. It's 20 past 2 p.m. CET. This is the Light Forex Global YouTube channel. My name is Piotr. It's my pleasure to be with you here, and we are going to cover Canadian CPI live right here, right now. Before we start, risk warning, guys, as usual. Please bear in mind trading FX and margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors. You can sustain a loss of some or all initial investment. So please do not invest the money you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Alright guys, how are you doing? Hopefully everything is alright. We are about to cover Canadian data, meaning that we are going to focus on Usdcad and Canadian JPY. Both US dollar and Japanese yen looks good on the market, and you know, even if we are going to get the better CPI, I'm going to look for a possibility to fade eventually Canadian dollar rally, right? So I'm quite bearish. For example, one of the reasons is what is going on oil. The second reason is that overall, even we see some kind of the attempts to, you know, even with new high, I'm getting a little bit more cautious towards the risk on. So overall, at least that's how I see the things for now. Before we jump into the Canadian dollar, if you were watching yesterday summary of the day, I've mentioned that I've been short euro yen, half been closed on that first yellow box. We cannot break through. There was a attempt and we got back, right? So we are fighting on that line, and because I'm planning to trade CAD yen, also I decided to grab 40 pips or so. I moved my stop. It's no longer stop loss, it's stop profit at plus 10. So far so good. Unfortunately, I missed by just few points. Again, if you were watching summary of the day, you should be aware of that. I've been waiting on the yellow box at that possible intraday supply on the S&P. Unfortunately, we didn't get there. But you know what, folks? I do think that we are going to hit that levels, right? I think that we are going to hit that levels. Later during the day, once the US cash open, you know, it's enough that someone from the White House administration is going to pump the market with some fake news related to the US-China trade war. Looks like the tensions are growing there, right? So all those fake news from the White House administration, it's like, it might be, I'm not saying it's gonna to work 100% of the time, but it might be similar stuff we had yesterday. It might be, looks like we are switching slightly towards the you know, fate, this big spikes based on the tensions, especially with all those things going on in Hong Kong, right? Especially all those votes in the US. So plenty of things, and it's not gonna be better, right? It's not gonna be better. So I'm gonna to look to fade that rally. But we are here to focus on the Canadian dollar. So USD CAD and CAD yen ahead of the announcement. In both cases, we have huge Canadian dollar weakness. So that's what we are going to focus on. Let's start with CAD because there is a possibility something may happen faster. That's the latest weakness, and we are inside. So I do understand some kind of the bounce from that level. Some kind of the bounce is possible. Now, where we might bounce, what could be the possible level to the upside, right? I think this broken swing low, all right, as of now should be enough. So we are talking about the levels close to 82 to try to sell CADCPI, but that's for tomorrow in case of the daily close below. So if you want to visualize the candle, so this candle should close like this, right? And then a little bit of the rally and continuation to the downside, where those downside might be, right? So we are doing, just don't forget, guys, invite your friends, because what we do here, we are doing a little bit different than what, for example, Bloomberg is doing, where all those, let's call them gurus, are only buying dips and selling rallies without the levels. We are discussing the levels as well, right? So the first possible target is around 80.80, all right? And then eventually more stops to the downside more stops to the downside. Oh, come on. And we are talking about the levels under 80, okay? So there is some kind of the possible liquidity pull around here. But that's the daily chart. Let's switch to intraday chart, and let's try to find some levels which might be interesting from our perspective. Okay. So as you can see, it's confirmation on smaller time frame. I love this level. Don't forget that the line, green line, been placed here based on the daily chart. So if you remember last Monday, we had a first educational stream where I shared what different colors means on my chart. So visit archive section on the Light Forex Global YouTube channel. Visit this educational section and start. If you are serious, you have to be in line with me to understand what we are talking about, and more to come, right? We just started with this educational stuff. So anyway, any kind of the fake news which might be positive from the risk perspective might produce some kind of the rally, and then in other words, yen weakness, right? So if we can use our imagination, that could turn out to be some kind of the bullish flag, right? So in that case, we really might retest those 81.95, 82.05, and that's what I'm looking for, at least for now, right? So I would like to fade some kind of the biggest rally eventually, right? Taking into the consideration where we are from the daily open perspective, right? Because that's where the possible supply may reside as well. So we are still some kind, like few pips. Like this. So that's the daily open, right? So it's around 81.80, okay? So from the intraday perspective, we might look for stops above 81.71, right? So the levels here before we fall down. There you go, right? From here we fall down, so there's some liquidity above, and we might hit daily open, okay? We need also, I would like to see also the lower levels on the USDCad in case of some possibility to try to go longs, right? In that case, we are also talking about the levels close to the daily open. In that case, I don't know if we are going to get there. Anyway, we just got the news. So it's 1.9 year to year, 0.3 month to month. Also checking looking for the details in regards to the revision eventually. Just give me a second. So there is a possibility we are going to see a little bit stronger Canadian dollar. That's good. That's good because for sure what we are not doing here, we are not learning how to chase the prices, because there is no reason to try to chase the prices, right? Rather, we are trying to find the levels where these prices can get back to us, right? So in that case, we are talking about the levels around 32.50, 32.30 in the USDCad right here, right now. Overall, from higher time frame perspective on the dollar CAD chart, the latest action telling me that we might see much higher levels, and what I'm talking about, that's the daily, that's some supply based on the daily. That's possible, very close, so it might be treated as a rejection from the supply, or it might be treated as a liquidity pull above, right? Anyway, there are two more here and here based on what we have. Based on what we have here, yeah. One second. Yeah, based on, so also here and here, and the closest one is here, and in that case the first possible target is around 33.50 with stops above. Second target possible 34.40, 34.50, and the last one is towards 35.70, 35.80. Well, what I'm looking for is eventually pullback. In case of the deeper pullback, that's the latest, in my opinion, level around 32, but we might see already levels close to 32.30 as a possible demand, as well as today's open, as I mentioned before, right? Good thing is that we have this rally, it's okay. Let's have a look what we have on the oil. Don't forget that we have official EA today. Yesterday, private API in favor of sellers. We are going to discuss, once the dust is going to be settled with this Canadian dollar, we are going to discuss oil as well, no worries. Maybe after some short break or whatever. So, year to year, as expected, 1.9. monthly as expected 0.3. So looks like market was caught a little bit short Canadian here with the expectations that we are going to get the lower number. Okay, let's have a look this let's watch this rally on the Canadian. I don't think the Bank of Canada is gonna to be in rush to raise the rate, so watching carefully. So the first level for me to watch on the CAD yen is 81.80, second one around 82. When we are talking about the USD CAD, first level is around 32.60, second 32.50, 32.30, maybe slightly below 32.30. So what we have from the top here, we have, looks like we are approaching 1-to-1. Yeah, that's why market is trying to build a little bit of the shadow. But what might, how it may work on the higher time frame, because that's the 15-minute chart, it might turn out that this is the first wave to the downside. As the whole move, as the first one, then this type of the bounce. Let's have a look what was previously. This one looks like it's similar. Then we might see another bounce from here, and then the move from around 32.95 could eventually reach the daily open, as well as the possible demand on the lower levels, right? So one more time, hopefully you follow. If not, use the chat option and ask the question, guys. You've got the huge opportunity to ask the questions, and you don't have to pay for that, right? I don't know why you are so shy sometimes. Just keep asking. So what I'm looking for as of now is one bounce the same size in move, right? So the algos, that's the easiest way to try to program the machine, right? So 1-to-1, but I do think that it's gonna to turn out as a one wave to the downside, right? As a one wave to the downside. So then I'm looking for a rally back from somewhere around 82.79, looking for a rally back towards 95 to get the big 1-to-1. And if that's the case, if my visualization is correct, then that would play out nicely, because that would be the retest of the daily open as well as the possible demand level below, right? So hopefully that's clear. Okay. In case of the CAD yen, daily open around 81.80, and then this broken bottom over here, right? Somewhere around 82.05. That's where I'm looking to try to take the advantage of the possible continuation to the downside, right? So as we haven't seen the retest after the breakdown. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm not chasing the prices, looking for a retest, looking for price to come to me. In the meantime, let's have a look how my Euro JPY is working right now. Well, it's good. Also, if you are watching a Monday crypto update, right? We hit finally on the Bitcoin, we hit the levels I've been looking for, so I'm staying tiny long. Unfortunately, we didn't hit, as far as I remember, we didn't hit yet the Ethereum levels, right? But we are, well, there is not huge rally, not huge bounce of that levels, so I'm watching carefully, but anyway, my exposure as usual, very low. Because we have some lows, overnight lows on the indices, right? So the pre-market, we are trading below the yesterday cash close, right? I do expect some rally back, trying to close the gap either ahead of the cash open in US or right after, right? So in that case, the yen crosses, we might see some kind of the attempt to rally, as well as the commodity currencies like Aussie CAD and New Zealand, right? So that's one of the reasons I'm not trying to chase the price, right? But then I do expect some kind of the continuation, right? At least some kind of the consolidation, maybe not some kind of the big sell-off, but at least some kind of the consolidation. But plenty of things, we are not here to discuss the politics, but plenty of things are going on around the world. And that's, you know, at some point it might turn to be ugly. Also, in the meantime, that's one of the reasons I'm staying short Euro JPY. Also, the European Central Bank said that the France and the Italy 2020 budget proposal are on the verge of the break EU rules. So more to come. Stay tuned. We have ECB minutes tomorrow. We have a PMI on Friday, PMI day on Friday, and for sure. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, because we are going to cover few PMIs live on Friday, right? So be sure to subscribe and not miss out the meeting on Friday. In case of euro dollar, no change in my view. Rally back towards 11.50, some kind of the rejection. I do see the possibility we are going to have a little bit stronger dollar from here. I mean 11.50, right? Euro is trading 10.50, 10.60. Okay, so let's make some cleaning. Let's have a look how does it look on the hourly chart, this Canadian price action, because it's steady going higher, right? Yeah. So we are about to break this, or no? Yeah, we should break that one. There is a possibility we are going even to have, I'm going to place another zone here. Yeah, something like this. So the bigger one, you don't need your FIBO to recognize that's gonna be around 50, right? And you don't need your FIBO to recognize that the lower one is gonna be around 62. Or I'm right or wrong? 50, 62. There you go. No more comments. Hi MHB, how you doing? Okay, so let's slowly, because the fireworks after the data probably gone already. So let's have it like this. Let's monitor, but let's have a look different crosses as well. So what we have here, what's telling me that we might see a little bit stronger dollar overall is with the higher Chinese yuan. If you remember, if you watch metals summary yesterday, right? There was a stream about, I did the stream about the gold, silver, platinum, palladium. We were discussing that it's worth to watch the Chinese yuan, right? The thing that telling me that we might have a little bit stronger dollar is also how the gold is behaving right now, right here, right? So we have rally on the dollar Chinese yuan because of all those negative news related to US and China, right? So weakened Chinese yuan should provide the support for the gold. But gold right now is trading below daily open. That's strange. So looks like for me, it might be the question about the dollar later today. Just a bit. We have, there was no disappointment, so the Canadian is getting a little bit of the strength, but I would say it's some short covering, the weakest short Canadian dollar covering. In other words, Canada yen short covering or USD CAD long covering, right? But that's what if you watched either live or recorded summary of the day yesterday, that's what I've mentioned yesterday. Yen, that's what we should watch. Yen crosses, gold indices. Looks like that's where the action was lately. I've been expecting also, that's what I've mentioned yesterday during the summary of the day. I've been expecting some more fireworks on the cable. Well, we are trying to hold around the Monday low and weekly open. We broke through that levels earlier today, but if you remember the meeting yesterday, and that's what I've mentioned, that there are some buyers over here, but in case you have a bullish bias, then you want to have a little bit of more advantage, right? So a little bit bigger picture, so more chances. So I've been talking about these levels rather close to 2880, 2860. I wouldn't be also surprised to see them going and testing even lower, like half of that old consolidation level, right? So somewhere towards 2850. So in between here and down towards 2850, yeah, I do expect some buyers. But me personally, yeah, I might be interested, but yeah, 70-50. Well, maybe not even via US dollar, maybe via euro, or maybe via, I don't know, Canadian dollar, for example. I don't have to trade cable, right? I may try to pound versus different crosses. Well, we will see. So we have 10 minutes towards the end of the hour, towards top of the hour. So we are about to see the first New York early close, right? So well, that's gonna be interesting. In both cases, dollar yen and USD, sorry, Canadian yen and USD CAD. It might be just the retest, as I mentioned, of the yesterday New York close or daily open, if you wish. Well, Euro got some space to the upside. Cable got some space eventually if we want to close the gap between New York close, New York open. So you may want to check from that perspective as well, right? Yeah, I do expect both Euro and Canadian touch weaker, more Canadian weaker than Euro. By the way, congratulations for those who eventually took the advantage of the New Zealand Canadian we discussed previous week, right? So there was a stop count. We've moved back and yesterday huge rally. We'll see. We will see where we are going to get, where we are going to be at the top of the hour. Then we are going to make short break, and then we will get back around the US cash open. And in case something is going to happen, I will put the notes on the chart, no worries. So there might be something you may want to call as inverted head and shoulder in play. So that should add into the picture with the yellow zone as a selling opportunity, right? So waiting carefully, patient. But to be honest with you, this upper shadow right here, of course it might end up just to 60, so 10 pips only, right? Well, from the supply perspective, if we are going to get that close a little bit lower, of course it's too close to the first possible target. So from the risk reward perspective, nothing extraordinary for me. So I would rather want to see this something might look, we cannot call it head and shoulders, or we can. Well, in that case we cannot, but in that case we can actually, because that's the lowest low we see here on the chart. So anyway, whatever we want to call it, 8205 could be the case, and that's where I'm going to look to fade the rally eventually, as discussed before. Okay, folks, we are approaching top of the hour, so let's have a short break. I need my voice to get back to the stabilization. I'm on the chat. If anything, let me know. Keep asking questions. I'm going to put notes on the chart in case I'm gonna to do something, right? So let's have this short break. I'll be back 5, maybe 10 minutes ahead of the New York cash open. So we will check what is going on with S&P and where we are, as I'm looking to sell any uptick higher towards yesterday close, maybe a little bit higher, right? So enjoy that break, but use the chart window actively.
It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, light Forex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Second part of our meeting. Today's meeting during the break because of actually what I wrote. Sorry for the caps, right? On the cable, the situation we had with the price action during the morning hours, right? So retest those levels. The entry could be a little bit on my side. There was a possibility to get the better entry and to have like 5 pip stop or maybe 4. I got 6. I'm targeting the bottom 18 pips. So if that's going to work out, that's gonna be 3R. If not, very tiny exposure, 6 pip stop. So you know, I covered half of Euro JPY at 40 pips. So there is, you know, sometime you have to give up what you get from the market. Anyway, hopefully the cable here is gonna to work my way. If not, that's part of the game, right? The stop losses are the part of the game, and as the faster we understand that, the better for our journey on that market. Anyway, less than 3 minutes, 2 minutes towards the US cash open. I'm waiting for, you know, I'm waiting for a little bit of the rally, right? So in that case, that's why I switch here from euro dollar to euro JPY, because if we are going to see the rally, I might try to, you know, finish that short and looking to resell. So let me ensure 15 pips. Well, no, I can't. I can ensure 12 max. Let me ensure 12 in that case. Okay, I've been stopped out on the cable, and in case of the continuation on Euro JPY, I'm going to cover the rest. So I've got 12 on the Euro JPY. Of course, JPY is weaker, is above 100, so I can't calculate that the half of the Euro JPY's 12 pips profit is same as 6 pips loss on the dollar USD, because it is not. But previously, right at the beginning of our meeting, I cut the previous half at 40 pips, so well, it's not that bad. That also, if I'm correct with this possibility of you know, first 15 minutes risk on, or even first 30 minutes risk on the US indices, that could help this CAD yen to retest this 82.05. All right, so well, we'll see. So if they are going to get the close, that's the 5-minute chart, but if they are going to get the close at the top of the hour, because, no, well, the 2 minutes would be great to have like half retest here, 29.20, 29.10 with this tight stop again, like 4-6 pips. and trying to trade towards 29.40. That could be the case here. So with this type of the rally, also dollar yen could be the subject of the fade the rally. So looking for here. So what they did on the cable, let me one more time because I'm not sure. Okay, they stopped me out, that's for sure. Crap. I don't get it. But that's when you're trading versus machines, right? That's what I don't get it, right? For now. Why that fast they've been rejected? Unless it's some kind of the news related manipulation. Anyway, 2 minutes after the US cash open. Well, I would love to see them around 3125 on S&P, but that not might be the case. The gap over here. So I might try to. And if you remember the channel, right? Top of the channel. That's what we discussed yesterday during the summary of the day. I may try to scale eventually with the stop above the high. So selling some here at 12, right here, right now. Well, you know, this pre-market highs, they have to be taken out. No doubt about it. So let's wait a little bit longer. Not in rush. Let's have a look if the price will come to me. So either we are going to see some upper shadow here. So let's switch lower. I'm going to try to scale in half here, half higher eventually with the stop above the 35. So that's, yeah, that's what I can do here probably on the S&P. Okay. Let's have a look at what we have on the from the news services perspective. Within the next 25 minutes, there is an option expiration and trying to check where we are. So dollar yen is fighting around the 1 billion expiration between 50 and 60. We are 66. Nothing extraordinary there. Euro dollar 110.65. 800 million at 110.40.50. Cable 130, more than 1 billion in expiration, and looks like they're trying to, okay, so cable, they're trying to fight with this 28.90, 29, 800 million. Whoa. So let's have a look if we can make that pullback, hold 29.12. So it looks like 40 and 12.52 divided by half, 26 pips. What was the stop? I don't remember. Looks like 1 R is going to be here. So it's time for cable to pull back towards 29.10, 29.5 eventually. So that could be eventually buying opportunity based on what we have here, and with this move above this weekly open and this both supply levels, right? Because that was the first supply over here. That was the first supply over here. We took out the low. That was the second supply because we took out the previous low. And right now we took out this one. So, but that's, well, 29.4 is gonna be target, looks like. Well, watching carefully here. So that's gonna be the second. And for both stops above 35, right? For the full position. Lately we discussed that I've been looking for a possibility to sell the oil. There was a fake to the upside and strong move to the downside. There should be another possibility eventually later today, because what we do, we are reacting within the possible demand, right? So there was stop hand, rally back. So what we might see with this rally back, what I'm gonna to look for is this half of the previous consolidation. In that case, it's gonna be somewhere. Going to be somewhere here, in my opinion. So somewhere in between 56.90, 57.15 based on chart I'm using here. That's where I'm gonna to look eventually to fade the oil rally again. But that's gonna depend on few factors, right? What we are going to get as a EEA, where we are going to be with the indices, and overall risk sentiment, right? Because if we are going to be, you know, within next hour, if we are going to be above the high on indices, I'm not sure I'm gonna to short the oil at that very moment, right? Fools me once, shame on you. Fools me twice, shame on me, right? So no pullback towards the entry. So looks like straight towards 40. What I've been looking for, again, just to be perfectly clear and be on the same line, right? Because I've been stop out with my 6 pips stop on the cable short, right? And because they moved, and looks like they are holding above the weekly open on a higher time frame based on the 15 minutes close, right? Still 4 minutes to get the second close above. The fight is going on, but let's assume that they are going to get that close. Anyway, what I've been looking for with this first pullback, right? I think that the demand, based on what we have on the hourly chart, right, is around 29.10, right? So what I've been looking for with this first wave to the downside, how big bounce rally could be after the first wave to the downside to get the second wave equal in size to reach 29.10, right? So I've been expecting 29.20 that we are going to see the second wave, and 29.10, 29.5 that's gonna be buying opportunity with the possibility to move back towards 29.35, 29.40, and my stop was supposed to be something around 29.06 or 29.04, but they completely they didn't follow my plan. Looks like they are following their own plan, so I will have to keep an eye on it and make an update eventually. So with the Euro JPY, I'm looking to sell again. This time I'm looking to sell somewhere either here, making this over-under possible in play, but that might be one more. There might be one more possibility. So watching this, I'm watching this. What is going on here? Also, this upper shadow, in case of the failure at the top of the channel, could provide the opportunity to move back to the bottom, and that's the next possible target, right? But this time I'm going to have to make it with the bigger stop, I do think. So I'm going to work with my original stop, I think. We'll see. Don't forget, guys, to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Friday, worldwide, we have PMI day, and for sure I'm going to cover one of them live. There is a probability that's gonna be European one. Nothing super extraordinary in terms of the calendar tomorrow. We have just Polos, Bank of Canada Governor Polos speaks, Philadelphia Fed Index out of the US, and ECB monetary policy meeting minutes. Nothing special during the London session. So we'll see if there are going to be any kind of the update tomorrow, but for sure something on Friday. Don't forget, guys, that we have FOMC meeting minutes later today, 2 hours before the US cash close. Sorry, but some water is needed. So, trying to summarize a bit, positive on the Euro JPY, 40 pips, and the remaining half stop profit at 12, but that's what we also discussed yesterday during the summary of the day. Today cable minus 6 pips, so overall green. Still the first part of the S&P short is working right now, right here, waiting for the EEA, right? From the oil perspective, the yellow possible supply in the mid of the previous range. But that's what I've mentioned before, depends where we are going to be on the indices. And finally, Canadian dollar, I'm looking to sell Canadian yen based on the eventual price action higher towards 82.05, as well as I do want to get some tiny long exposure on USDCad, but here I would like to see retest of the daily open or even lower this 50% of that Riley, but that's the demand, not FIBO. That's the where the possible demand might be, and then again lower shadows towards 32.30, 32.20. That's where I'm waiting for the pullback, right? Euro dollar, I'm not interested right now as long as we are below 111. I would like to see Riley above 111, maybe even towards 111.50, 50, and then rejection. That might be some kind of the short opportunity. With the cable, probably what is going on right now is a fight related to the option expiration. Then we are going to the fight in relation to the London fix. So watching carefully. But you know, plenty of things, there is a chance that plenty of things is going to happen with the yen crosses, with the indices, oil. Not necessarily have to try to check my luck again with the cable, right? We'll see. And Euro yen depends where we are going to be at the top of the hour. If we are going to build the upper shadow over here and close below, I may try to reopen short targeting 1970-ish. So let's have a look where we are going to be at the top of the hour. So it's a very good moment to ask the questions. If you have, please use the chat option and keep asking the questions, guys. I'm going to grab the bottle of the water in the meantime. No questions. Looks like you guys know everything. Good. Good. Perfect. Anyone want to share her own plan for the New York session? Boom, there you go. Earlier today, there was information that the possible, at least part of the Fed's repo is towards the HSBC. And we are still around the high on the indices, right? Again, remember, the market may stay longer irrational than you can afford to hold the position against the market, but the current behavior, I told you guys a few times, right? During the financial crisis, I've been like in the middle of my trading career. Well, short DAX was the name of the game in my case there. But I do remember the behavior right now is very similar to what we have before this financial crisis, 2008. So, well, at some point, hopefully you are going to be able to avoid this disaster, because, guys, we don't need the disaster, right? But what those folks are doing, that's the one big circus, joke, and whatever you want to call it. All right, so there are no questions. You know everything, so you know my plan. So do paper trading eventually. Then we can share how it was either tomorrow or Friday. If there is some nice price action towards the end of the day, I might make a last minute schedule tomorrow. So again, guys, subscribe to the channel, Light Forex Global YouTube channel, to be notified when there is next stream. For sure, we are going to cover something on Friday, one of the PMIs, either Europe or US. That's it from me today, guys. It was my pleasure. We have all the possible scenarios from my perspective, on the indices, on the Euro JPY, CADJPY, Usdcad, and oil. Probably I'm going to skip the cable at least for now. Staying short right now, S&P. Positive on the Euro JPY, 40 pips on a half, 12 stop profit, 12 pips on the remaining half, and minus 6 pips on the cable. Guys, that's it. It was my pleasure. Have a great rest of the US session and see you around, guys. Take care and goodbye.